You can feel it turning, can't you? A chill in the morning air, darkness earlier every day, the smell of new jeans and the sound of voices on the playgrounds, art openings, and a renewed sense of purpose. You know, I've always thought of fall as the beginning of a new year, but it comes with a touch of loss, nostalgia for the ease of summer gone when leaves drop, and we remember that winter can be hard. So let's savor today, embrace this moment of hope and sorrow, contemplation and action, and find the place where they meet here in the joyous present. Well, that's jazz for you, from the heights to the depths, a human sound that reflects the full spectrum of experience, leave-taking to homecoming. And our guest, Mark Lewis, has a new album and a homecoming story to boot. He'll be here soon. Until then, Gary Bart's on alto with Kenny Barron piano from Gerald Cannon's new CD, Combinations, on KMHD. Thanks.
Hope you didn't hear that.
No, I had the fader down.
I thought so.
But the mic light was on.
And Lynn, the Jack London Review said that we could give away 2 pairs of tickets to the show tonight.
I can't do it unless it goes through the program director.
Oh,
He's out sick today.
Oh.
So I'm sorry I can't do that.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not totally on my own here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem these days, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you're never
I hate to say that, but we have KPLU up there. I mean, K and
Oh,
K.
that's right, yeah.
It's the same thing, you know. We just got done playing for them, so they had a...
Oh, well, they have a good studio to perform in.
Yeah, no, it was an outside thing in Paulsbo, actually, by Bremerton, and there was bands all day long.
Really?
It was a lot of fun. What kind of mic is this one?
Well, it's a Shure.
Oh, these...
No, I'm sorry, they've changed them. It's a Electro Voice RE20.
Yeah, that's what it is. I didn't think
the usual voice mics in studios.
Yeah, it's the standard.
They went to the Shure Bs, you know, the 58 Bs.
Oh, no.
And then it didn't work very well.
Good.
So they got out of those. And
these are much better mics.
Yeah, they're good. We were happy with them. You know, change.
Well, you know, in Europe they use Telefunkens, and they look similar.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to just quickly go over what I'm going to talk to you about.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get my names
We'll
out.
be ready because after this tune, we're going to be live. So, I'm going to play Summer is Over because that's my theme today.
Oh, yeah,
and,
right. It's got finally somebody plays that.
Finally got a place for it here. I've been playing from this CD. I didn't know you were coming.
Oh.
I thought it was great. I've been playing Connie, Sierra Leone, and Cohen.
They just had a mudslide in Sierra Leone, and it killed a bunch of people. And yeah, a bad one, you know. And I communicate with them on Facebook.
Because you've been there?
No, but I used to teach African studies in Europe and play with Africans, so I have an interest in African music.
So you've known some Sierra Leoneans?
Yes. And luckily no one was hurt that I know.
I'm glad.
The people I've met there are so sweet. It comes across.
Often the case in the horror places.
Yeah.
I'm just fiddling with my, getting my CDs lined up.
That was a beautiful poem you wrote just now.
Oh, well, that's just my top of the hour. I'd call it a jazz homily.
Yeah, homily.
Before we play the music, they got to listen to the sermon.
My French girlfriend would have called it an homily.
Oh, yeah. Good.
She's gone now. I have a good one now.
Well, good. Well, you are living in what town?
I'm living in Bremerton now, which is right across from Seattle.
Right, so I'm just going to say that you've returned to your Puget Sound
bungalow.
Home turf in Puget Sound.
Yes.
Is that good?
That's great.
You were born in Tacoma?
I was born in Tacoma, and I lived in Port Orchard. We moved out for a while and lived on a farm, so
Port Orchard, yeah. Great
I was actually
places.
between Port Orchard and Tacoma. There was no city we lived in. I hated it. We moved out when I was 5. I wanted to be a city boy, you know. So
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to work on a farm.
Oh, I see, I see. Well, I was just thinking Gary Larson, the cartoonist, was also born in Tacoma.
Oh, he
Must be
was?
about your age.
So was David Friesen.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
David.
David. I play with him all the time. He comes up and plays with me.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we do
So
duets.
how long have you been back to the Puget Sound area?
Well, I've been back for quite a while. I
Oh, I'm
moved
sorry.
back from California because my parents were sick, and my dad's died. My mom's really sick, so I'm still there. But
Well, I'm going to ask what brought you back,
Yeah.
because you have lived a long time outside of your home country here, and then I wanted to know how it has affected you musically, if at all, to be
it has affected
back
me.
here, and then we'll play Summer Is Over, and then I want to ask a couple more questions. Is it okay if I refer to your legally blind
Oh, yeah, go
status?
ahead, yeah,
Okay. So you've traveled widely for a person who's got sight impairment, and I want to know, and you often travel alone, I assume?
Yeah, I traveled alone with a one-way ticket to Amsterdam, and I didn't know anybody.
Oh, that was fun.
And I was in Rotterdam.
Those were well, hey, JB was there, wasn't he?
Well, that's where I met him.
Oh, good, yeah.
In fact, he
how
played in
about
my
Perry
band.
Soto? Did
Huh?
you ever meet Perry?
No, but I
He's
met
a little
Essie
short
Essie.
Catalan guy. Oh, Essie was there, yeah.
Yeah, that's who's on that album, in fact. the one
Is
that-
he still in town now?
Essie's back in New York
Oh.
right now. But we're planning on doing another album with the same trio.
It's a great group.
I like the group. I went to hear him at the Vanguard, and Essie was playing, so I said, hey, ask George if he wants to play with me. And so he listened to a few things I did and said, hell yeah.
That's great. So I wanted to ask, in all your travels, then, what's the secret to playing with so many different musicians and dealing with uncertainties, both musical and personal?
Yeah, it makes you flexible.
Good. Yes, I bet it does. And then, since you're such a prolific composer, I've been thinking myself that we're entering an age where jazz is defined more by the composers than virtuoso soloists.
Well, there's so many virtuosos now because of all the music schools.
Yeah, no kidding, isn't that something? Did
Yeah.
you go?
Yeah, I went for 2 years, and at 1 year at Western and 1 year at Cornish, and Gary Peacock told me to get out of school.
Yeah, he was right.
Yeah, so I went. Sold my stereo and bought the ticket with this money, and I had $500 left over. I had a good stereo.
Well, that was good.
Oh, very good one. I've always
Okay,
been.
I'm going to get ready for us to go live here. Okay, stand by. Gary Bartz on alto. Gerald Cannon's A Thought on Jazz Radio KMHD. I'm Lynn Darroch, and you're live now with woodwind artist and composer Mark Lewis. Now, I like homecoming stories, and this one may be a little out of date, but I'd like to introduce Mark Lewis with the news that he's returned to his home turf in the Puget Sound after decades living elsewhere, and that's not all that's new. He has a new album too, New York Sessions, with Portland native Essiet, George Cables, and Victor Lewis. Now, that won't be news if you've been joining us in the Bright Moments Cafe, though, because you've been listening to several of the pieces from that CD for weeks now, so you know what's in store when the Mark Lewis Quartet, with Mark on saxophones and flute, J.B. Butler guitar, Alan Jones drums, and John Lakey bass, play tonight, 9 p.m. at the Jack London Review. And we're lucky Mark Lewis had time to stop by to speak to you this afternoon. So welcome, Mark Lewis. Happy to have you here. And tell us, what brought you back to the Puget Sound area after so many years living elsewhere, and how has that move affected you musically?
Well, I was living in San Francisco at the time, And I thought that was my normal town when I came back to the United States for a brief, months or 3 or 4 months at a time. And then I'd go back to Europe. But I had an office in Seattle with my company Daddio, and we had an office in Rotterdam, Holland. So I would make the trip back and forth about twice a year to check on things and to record artists. We recorded Al Hood and Hein van der Geyen and a lot of different people, Alan Youngblood in Seattle, and then we'd press in Holland. But when I came back through Seattle to leave, I wanted to say goodbye to my parents. My parents' house had burned down, and so I didn't want to just leave them. So I stayed around and helped and talked to them. Then I was getting ready to leave, and then my father was sick with cancer, so I thought, well, I better stick around, and so I've been sticking around for my family. My dad is gone now, but my mom is around, and she's in home. So I've just been sticking around to give her moral support, and I noticed that the Puget Sound was getting to be more like other populated areas.
Yes, indeed, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really grown since you grew up there.
It sure has, and so I thought, well, if I stay here, maybe people will come to me.
That's good. Just building that better mousetrap and waiting for the world to beat a path to
That's
your
right.
door.
So I built a little recording studio in a small, what's called a war box. There's a station called KUOW up in the University of Washington, and they did a little interview on me. And this war box is just a small, small house that's built on the back lot of other places. And I tried to buy it, but it's too small to buy. But it's big enough to have a nice studio in with nice high ceilings. And so I'm using my money to buy microphones and things like that to make nice recordings for musicians that would like to do that.
Has the geographical change affected you musically at all?
Well, it has and it hasn't. I've always had my own style. But the musicians you play with, of course, affect you. The good thing is that since I've lived in the area, we've been getting gigs, steady gigs. I always try to have a steady job once a week at least. That way I can keep my performance chops up and do a little shtick on the mic and whatnot, try out some new jokes. But, oh yeah, I like to make people laugh.
We'll hear one of those pretty soon.
Better not. But anyway, so here's the thing is that it was funny because these people that I started playing with were like old friends, Milo Peterson and all these great musicians from Seattle that I hadn't seen in years. And I would hire them. They were happy to come over because I live across the water in Kitsap County. So they were happy to come from Seattle or even from Portland. John Stoll comes up once in a while, and David Friesen, and we do duos because the restaurants or the clubs that we play in could only afford a duo or a trio. So I would keep it interesting because I figured, well, nobody wants to hear me every week, so we'll have a different person every week, and that keeps me flexible and thinking in different terms. So these people go out and play in all different places, and so do I. I mean, I go out twice a year to play tours, once on the East Coast and once on the West Coast. And so that keeps me feeling like I'm in touch with what's going on.
And so the vast waters and the green forests and the Olympic mountains.
Oh, I stay away from those.
Yeah, have you? You're just staying in your recording studio.
Yeah, I stay in my practice room and practice. And
so it's more about the company you keep, the musicians whose company you keep.
Oh yes, and if I go out, if I do go out I'd like to go out hiking, but I'm legally blind, so I take my chances every time.
Well, someone ought to head with you, and don't go out to the gorge this time, but listen, I've been talking about this moment between summer and autumn when you feel sorrow for the ease of summer gone and joy at new opportunities, and so I don't smell any new jeans here in the studio, but that is probably because we can't afford them working on musicians' pay.
That's right.
But I have to play this track from your new album, New York Sessions. It's called Summer is Over, from Mark Lewis's new CD, New York Sessions, on Jazz Radio, KMHD.
I hope that wasn't too rambling.
No, it was perfect.
Oh,
That was great. just the right number of minutes too.
You know, I wrote this song because, as you can hear, it sounds kind of like it has the same chords as Autumn Leaves or something like that, you see?
Oh.
It has similar, it goes around the cycle.
Oh yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
And then, but it's in 5/4, and so I
see.
I
That's
never get
why.
a chance to play it with bands because you'd be surprised
It's
how
hard,
many
man.
great musicians don't play 5. I mean, it's amazing. So I usually don't play it live.
Well, I know. It's.
And the chords,
You think people could count?
you
it,
think they would
learn it in school? Huh?
Well, it's just, it's so, I don't even count. Maybe I'm just weird. Or it's probably because I listened to Desmond when I was a kid, you see.
Oh, yeah.
Just comes
You
natural.
got all those weird times.
Yeah, my first album was, what was it, Time Further Out, and then there was one Time In, and, you know.
Oh,
and
the Brubeck.
Yeah, the
albums.
Brubeck
Yeah,
set.
yeah. Time out, time
Yeah.
farther out.
Yeah,
Was there a time in?
and there was a Time In too. That was the first one I ever bought. And,
Huh.
and it was $2.99 or $1.99. Didn't even have a record cover, and a jacket inside, a sleeve.
Well, this is you on soprano, right?
This is alto.
Alto.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can play real high if I want to. So my friend, well, he wasn't my friend, he was my teacher when I was going to Cornish, was Mark Solomons, and he was a classical flute player.
Oh yeah.
So he said, and Denny Goodhue too.
Oh, Denny.
I love Denny. They were both teachers. And well, Denny didn't want to teach me. He said, I can't teach anything. I said, well,
He's back to teaching again.
yeah. He's a great player. He stopped playing saxophone, but
Oh, that's right.
He told me those two told me there's no reason the alto player can't have another octave. So I play it just like the flute, you know, it has another
Uh-huh.
octave.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But it does get a little squeaky unless you have a good. I use number 5 reed, so it's real thick.
So you have a really
Yeah, I have
Powerful
I have to
overture.
practice every day. I have to. It's not that I
well
want
to use
to.
that reed. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can tell if I go out drinking with the boys the next day. It's like even that will take your vitamin B down, and you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I have to be very careful.
Well, you know that's the way it is nowadays, isn't it? All the jazz players are college profs, vegans. Who was that who came through here? One of the Eubanks.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
Kevin, yeah. Kevin's a vegan now.
Oh yeah, they're all. Well, you know, everybody's trying to take care of their health.
It's true. I guess he's about 50, early 50s.
Oh, he is? Well, I didn't know he was
Kevin.
that young.
Maybe he's a little older than that. We'll see. That's what being a vegan will do for you. Forever young.
I take Elysium. I have a low hemoglobin, you know, so I have to get some kind of iron in there, and it doesn't stick. It doesn't seem unless I have a steak about once a month. I don't really care for it that much, but I do now. I've learned to enjoy it, you know. When I was a kid, I didn't.
Steak? Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't like it at all.
Oh, really? That was that living on the farm, didn't it?
Yeah, right. And I chew, you know, it's like you eat a big bite and you can't chew it up, you know. But then I went to Europe and they eat it a lot more rarer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so that's why I cook my own food. I get tired of eating in restaurants.
Well, sure, yeah.
It's so salty.
Where's your cook in the studio? You have a burner in your studio?
Oh yeah, it's in the drum room. The drum room is the
Okay.
biggest room of all. It used to be a kitchen. Well, it still is.
Good,
but,
good.
You know,
Yeah.
everything has a double thing. But
Uh-huh.
hopefully, when you come in, you don't see any trace of Mark Lewis except maybe a frying pan or something. You know, I usually have a pot of beans or something chili or something for the band when they go in. Yeah, John's made a few recordings there.
Oh, has he?
In fact, we're thinking about putting out a duo recording. We have at least 4 hours of music.
You and John? Oh, great.
And it's really nice. I love his playing.
Yes, yes.
And then John Butler and
Everybody
I,
loves John, yeah.
John Butler and I, or JB, also did some recordings live, and we've been listening to them. In fact, we have we probably don't have time, but we brought a cut with John and I. It's live, and it's on our phone on a WAV file. But
I
we don't
can't
have
get
time.
it on to
That's okay. You've already
unless
planned
it's
it
a
out.
CD.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But I've played JB's work before here.
Yeah,
I've known him for 30 years, I think. Now.
That's good.
How about his brother, Ken? Do you ever meet
I've
Ken?
never met Ken, you know.
But makes those weird instruments. Have you ever seen him?
No, he just talked about his brother last night, and
Oh.
for the first time, I I didn't even know we had it done.
Here we go, back
Okay.
live. Summer is Over from Mark Lewis's album New York Sessions, and he's in town to play the Jack London Review tonight, 9 p.m. with a Portland quartet that features Alan Jones drums. And we'll be right back with Mark Lewis after this word. Stand by. Back live with Mark Lewis in the Bright Moments Cafe, and he plays tonight, 9 p.m. at the Jack London Review in downtown Portland. That's on Southwest 4th Avenue downtown. And Mark Lewis, for someone who's legally blind, you have traveled widely and often alone. So I'd like to know, what's your secret to playing with so many different musicians and dealing with that uncertainty musically, as well as the personal uncertainties that come with travel?
Well, I usually listen to the musicians first before I ask them to play, whether it be online now or live, and then I see if I think that we might fit together. And a friend of mine, Jim Wilkie, he used to have a program on NPR. He probably still does, I don't know. But he told me that I had a knack for putting people together. So I do that, and I try to see who will fit together in a way which everybody will be accenting one another and giving energy, trading energy without drawing energy.
Uh-huh.
And I try to make it so that it's a balance, because music itself, good music, is balanced. In fact, if I had one word in the entire universe that I think is the most important word in the world, it would be a combination of love and balance.
And so how do you keep that balance when you're out there dealing with uncertainties of travel and all the other things that go along with being a touring musician?
It's hard, because if you try to make things happen when they're not happening, you can get frustrated. If you try to squeeze something in a time slot that doesn't have that needs more time, it won't go right. If for instance, if I'm legally blind, so I can't move very fast. I can't see fast. I was born blind, and I was blind for 2 years, and then I went blind again completely. So I don't have the ability to understand in my brain what sight is very fast. And so if I try to do things too fast, it goes wrong. Well, that's just like life itself. If you don't allow things to unfold, they won't unfold. A flower, you can't take the petals down one by one and expect it to look nice. It has to unfold itself, and that's the way I look at music. I let the people do pretty much what they want, and I try to play with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they unfold as the concert goes on. And many times the bands, like tonight, we've never played together before, but we will sound like we've played together because they're all top-notch musicians. And jazz people do their practicing in the practice room, not in the rehearsal hall.
Yeah, or on stage.
Yes, well, I'm not supposed to say that, I guess.
Well, listen, I wonder if you allow your compositions to unfold with that kind of patience,
I
too,
do,
because
I do.
you've written so many. I mean, by one writer's count, there are 1,700 of them, and that's really a lot of compositions. So what I'd like to know is, I wonder if we're entering an age now, or already in it, where jazz is being defined more by the composers, such as yourself, rather than in the 50s, say, by virtuoso soloists.
Well, I think it's half and half. We still need people to play them, but there are a lot of schooled musicians who have a lot of technique. It's just that we have to learn how to express ourselves from deep within. It's not just playing and how fast. It's not a race. It's not a competition. It's not athletics. There was a fine quote that my friend told me. A guitar player I play with up in Toronto. His name is Joe Huron. In fact, Notes for Joe, the last piece on that album, is for him. But he said, music is not a competition, but if you have to compete with yourself. And that's what I try to do. I try to get better all the time because, you know, you always have to deal with rejection in this business, whether it be from jazz clubs or from people not understanding what you're doing or whatever. You know, you always want to have more people enjoy the music on the level that you see it being enjoyed at. And I guess when you compete with yourself, you're always getting one step closer to that.
Mark Lewis live with you here in the Bright Moments Cafe on Portland's Jazz Radio KMHD, and I'd like to play another sample of Mark Lewis's composition for a quartet, something you may hear tonight, and it's a nice showcase for his work on flute too. It's called Koan, from the Mark Lewis album New York Sessions, here on Jazz Radio KMHD. I'm going to come back here a couple minutes, fade it down, and say goodbye.
Okay.
Good chance for that joke if you have one.
Oh. Well, we'll just wait for the jokes.
Okay. You don't want to use
My
them
jokes
up
are
here.
usually spontaneous.
Okay.
Could you dedicate this to the people that are suffering from the two disasters in Florida and Texas?
I would like you to do that.
Oh, okay.
We'll wait till get a bass solo or something. We can talk over it.
They cut it out on one of the when I was listening to the station. It was K-Jazz in Phoenix. She always cuts the bass solos.
Well, that, you know, I'd never heard of that till I met a guy who was the operations director here some years back, and he said that he had been cutting the bass solo out of take 5 for years, and no one ever noticed.
Isn't that funny?
Well, no, I guess no musicians were listening.
Well, the funny thing is that I wrote DL Blues for a bass player, and so Essex taking a bass solo, and they cut it out on KX.
Yeah.
I have the shirt on, so I remember because it was KPLU for so many years.
Well, you've been in the Puget Sound area for a long time, right, Rhonda?
Yes,
And so they raised a tremendous amount of money, didn't they?
Oh,
yes.
Like $10 million.
amazing.
Yeah, the 8 million.
Yeah, we did.
If I remember right.
Box of CDs so they could sell.
That
the
was
CDs.
good, but somebody had to bring millions.
Yeah.
to make that one.
I know. I still don't work. I worked at Jazz Alley when I lived in San Francisco, but
Now they won't hire
they
me.
haven't asked me to work.
No, they will never.
No,
Nobody from Seattle works there.
no, but that's okay. It wasn't that great. I mean, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it, but you know,
Well, a big club with a nice sound system is always good.
it's always nice. Yeah, we had a good gig. I played with Ted Gioia. Do you know Ted?
Yeah, he's a writer.
Yes, he wrote the liner notes.
Yes, he wrote
Yeah.
the liner notes.
Yeah, he was
In
playing
fact,
piano.
I've read a number of his books.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful, isn't he?
He's a musician too?
Yes, he plays piano, but he got arthritis. He's made 2 albums.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'll try to find
kinda
out.
like
Oh, you can-
Leonard Feather. He's the,
You can hear him on Mark's website. If you
he's
listen to the player, their Spring Song for Chet is on there.
Well, yeah.
And that's Mark with Ted.
It's just
Oh,
a duo.
okay. I'll listen to that.
Yeah, for Chet Baker, because I was going to record with Chet Baker when he died.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's right, in Amsterdam. Yeah,
Yes.
I've got a story about that.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah, I know the real story.
The why he fell out the window story?
Yeah. Yeah, I was his best friend, and he was supposed to be chatting him at the airport, and he was alone, and he was crying when I met him, and he said, Chet just died last night, and he told me what happened.
Well, that he fell or why he
No,
fell?
they had taped, Vin Vick got him addicted to heroin again so he could get him cheaper.
Yeah.
He's a promoter over there, I know him.
Uh-huh.
Not a very nice man. And so Chet didn't pay his bill in his hotel, so he tried to climb up the drain
Oh,
pipe.
he was
'cause
trying to
had
get
taped-
in.
He was trying to get in he taped his heroin to the bottom of the drawer, and they locked him
Yeah,
out because he hadn't
they
paid his
locked
bill.
him out. Oh, man. Oh.
And it was on the 3rd floor, and it fell
Here we
off.
go. I'm going to bring you up now. George Cable's on piano, with Mark Lewis on flute. From Mark's new CD, New York Sessions, you can hear him tonight at the Jack London Review, 9 p.m., with his Portland Quartet. And Mark Lewis, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you.
It's really good to have you here, and I know you wanted to dedicate this tune, Cohen.
Yes, I wanted to dedicate it to the people that are involved in the tragedies in Texas and Florida, because I know they're suffering, so hopefully that the music gives them a little solace if they have a chance to tune into it. And they can hear that on my website, marklewismusic.com, and there's a bunch of songs for them to listen to.
And this one, Cohen, tell us a little bit about how you came to write this piece.
Well, I wrote this after the Fukushima disaster, and I heard on NPR that about a story about this, and that they were the 50 people that were asked to go into the power plant to turn it off knew that they were going to basically have very bad repercussions from going in there, and every one of these 50 people went, and they all had mothers and fathers and kids, and they all had families, you know, and not one said, no, I'm not going to go. They all went at their own peril, and they were considered pariahs in Japan because the company that you work for is so important to your identity. And I thought I should write a song to say thank you to them, and to let them know that they're heroes to me.
Thank you, Mark Lewis.
Thank
Hear
you.
him play tonight, 9 p.m., Jack London Review in Portland. That was great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
Mark.
much.
Yeah. Got to get out of here now, I guess. Sound
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, we have to do the sound check. All the band.